My rebirth back to 11th grade, I tore up the love letter I had spent all night writing. Jade, my desk mate in front of me, turned around, a strange look on her face. "Didn't you say you were going to confess to Liam?" I gave her a sidelong glance. "Not anymore. I'm going to devote all my energy to preparing for the university entrance exam." I didn't miss the fleeting, gloomy look in her eyes. I sneered inwardly. This time, I wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. Only Jade knew about my secret crush on Liam, yet she had accidentally let it slip. After early morning class, a group of girls gathered at the classroom door, their eyes fixed on me, eagerly awaiting my confession to Liam. "A toad wanting to eat swan meat, huh?" Laughter. "If you don't have a mirror, you should at least have a puddle to reflect yourself in." I suddenly stood up, pushed past the crowd, and walked away. I clearly heard their undisguised laughter behind me. I didn't need a mirror to know. I was overweight, my forehead covered in acne. My lack of beauty was their reason for mocking and isolating me. In a world that judged others by appearance, ugliness was the original sin. I wasn't always like this. After 8th grade, I'd suddenly gained weight and developed acne. Later, when I started working, I managed to lose weight and take care of my skin. My figure became slender again, my pretty face was revealed, and I was tall. I was even considered the face of my work team. Knowing what I would become, their attacks on my appearance didn't sting. And now, I was no longer that weak teenage girl. I wouldn't crumble just because of a few cruel words. These petty attacks meant nothing to someone who had already faced death. In my past life, I secretly loved Liam, the school's golden boy. Jade, my only friend at the time, eventually told me that a girl pursuing a boy was like a thin layer of gauze, so I confessed to him. I was rejected, mocked by my classmates. It was Jade herself who rallied the girls who liked Liam. They openly and covertly bullied and isolated me. They posted my photo and name on the confession wall, accompanied by venomous insults. "A pig-faced girl like you dares to like Liam." She even picked up a bucket of dirty mop water and splashed it directly on me. "Wake up and see how much you weigh." Failure in love, betrayal by friends, relentless bullying. From then on, I spiraled downwards, my academic performance plummeting. My rank dropped from over 400 to outside the top 1,000. After the university entrance exam, Liam went to study abroad, while I only scored enough to get into a junior college. My parents, unable to bear seeing me suffer, poured all their savings into sending me abroad. But the study abroad center they chose went bankrupt and ran off with their money. I still ended up in junior college. I thought my life would forever be steeped in darkness. Until I met a boy named Vincent Sue at college. He didn't care about my scruffy, ugly appearance and insisted on being with me. I thought he would be my salvation, but he was the one who pushed me into a colossal loan shark debt, sending me plunging into the abyss. Because of Jade and my stubborn obsession with Liam, I ruined my studies and destroyed my life. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer at 50, never having had regular checkups. It wasn't until she collapsed at her stall and was admitted to the hospital that they discovered the cancer cells had metastasized. My mother passed away. My father, desperate to pay off my debts, drove while exhausted, crashed into a guardrail, and died in the accident. In my 20s, I lost both my parents. Burdened with insurmountable debt, I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my flesh. The sharp pain made me realize I had been reborn. Having experienced such bone-deep suffering, I finally understood how cruel this world truly was. Hell was empty, and devils roamed the human realm. No one could save me, only I could save myself. In this life, I would save myself and protect my parents well. Now I had a chance to start over. The only way to change my fate was to study hard. I wasn't reborn to quarrel over petty matters with those useless people. I couldn't allow myself to repeat the old tragedy, to fall into destitution and have my family shattered. I hadn't even confessed to Liam, yet he still found me. During recess, amidst the cheers of the female students, he walked into my classroom. Liam stood before my desk and slammed a ripped love letter, crudely taped back together with clear tape, onto my desk. He frowned, his disgust unconcealed. "I won't like you. Don't waste your time anymore." Seeing the letter, I instantly understood. I had still confessed to him. It must have been my best friend, Jade, who picked up the torn pieces, taped them back together, and sent them to Liam. Classmates gathered around, eager for a show. Jade stood leaning against the door, smirking derisively. Everyone saw me as a joke, but I found them to be the truly ridiculous ones. The love letter was indeed written by me, and my name was signed in the bottom right corner, but it never specified who it was for. I put down my pen, picked up the letter, and opened it, asking Liam, "Does it have your name written in it?" He widened his eyes. "Are you saying I'm not the one you like?" I laughed as if I'd heard the funniest joke. Crumpling the letter into a ball, I tossed it into the trash. I looked up and asked him again, "Who told you I like you?" I slammed my hand on my desk, ready to study. Isn't researching constitutional law more interesting than you? Aren't business reforms more worthy of my attention? My precious time is spent on reading comprehension and fill-in-the-blanks, not on dating. Stop flattering yourself, Liam. My ideal is a university, not you. With that, I put on my headphones and continued listening to English, tuning out the whispers and murmurs around me. Liam stood before my desk. I didn't care if his face was red or black. In my eyes, there were only the 4 multiple-choice answers in front of me. I had already chosen the definitive answer. The classroom, after sunset, was still as bright as day. I took advantage of evening self-study to correct the exam questions I had done earlier, relying on my memory. A slight anxiety suddenly gnawed at me, my brow furrowed. It was already 11th grade. In 10th grade, I'd been too caught up in my secret crush, neglecting my studies. My academic knowledge was a tangled mess, my foundation shaky. It would be incredibly difficult to catch up later. My goal was still distant. I didn't delude myself into thinking I'd get into Tsinghua or Peking University. I knew my own abilities. I was simply reborn with a clearer mind, knowing I needed to put in effort, not necessarily being smarter. While my intellect wasn't bad, I hadn't studied in years. Catching up wouldn't be easy. As a humanities student, I was fine in other subjects, but math was my Achilles heel. I sighed, sketching out a study plan on paper. Jade, my desk mate in front, turned around and whispered, "Let's go home together after school, okay?" I looked up into her eyes, not missing the calculating and suspicious glint that flickered in their depths. I nodded. Okay. Enduring until dismissal, I immediately rushed home. It had been years since I'd seen my parents. Being able to go home was what I had longed for most since my rebirth. Jade followed me, her bag slung over her shoulder, her mouth chattering endlessly. "You're not really mad at me, are you? I just wanted to help you. I didn't know you didn't like Liam anymore." She probed again. "We're still good friends, right?" I didn't even bother to glance at her, just mumbled vaguely in response. She pulled my arm. "Next week is my birthday. I'm having a party at my house. Can you come?" I smirked at her. If I remembered correctly, every year she invited the whole class, and I, her best friend, ended up being a server at the party. Running errands, being sent back and forth, only to be criticized for giving a cheap birthday gift. I yanked my arm free from her grasp. "I'll definitely be there." Then I left Jade behind and quickened my pace toward home. Before the familiar, rusted anti-theft door, I thought of my parents, separated from me by life and death, and tears immediately welled up. My hand, holding the key, trembled, unable to find the keyhole. Just then, the door unexpectedly opened from within. The bright light instantly illuminated the dark hallway, as if opening a door to another world. I looked up, facing my mother's face, and the dam of my suppressed tears burst. I couldn't believe I was alive to see my mother again. Her frail hands, which had clutched me in her dying moments, now stood vividly before me, young, gentle, full of life. I gently sniffed, afraid a loud sound would wake me from this dream. My mother, who must have been making steamed buns just moments before, her hands covered in flour, saw me crying and panicked. She hastily wiped her hands on her apron, sending a puff of white dust into the air, then pulled me inside and hugged me tightly. "Tina, why are you crying? Were you bullied at school?" I just clung tightly to my mother, the mother I hadn't seen in so many years, burying my face in her embrace, whispering, "Mom." My mother patted my back, comforting me. "Oh, my child, my heart and soul." Enough of this touching mother-daughter scene. I'm putting the steamed buns down. Tina must be starving. My father stood at the kitchen door, holding a plate of steamed buns, smiling kindly at my mother and me. I looked at my mother, then at my father, so choked with emotion that I could only manage 2 words. "Mom, Dad." They were still so young, their hair not yet gray. My mother only had a few small wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, her skin the healthy brown of a hardworking person. They smelled familiar, clean, and warm. I snuggled into my mother's arms, inhaling her scent. It was then that I truly realized I had been reborn, and my parents, too, were as if reborn once again. Sitting at the dining table, eating steamed buns I hadn't tasted in so long. The warmth carried the scent of family. I ate, quietly wiping away my tears. My parents watched me worriedly, but because I was a sensitive teenager, they didn't dare to ask too many questions, just silently picked buns for me, showing their concern through each bite. After eating, my mother peeled fruit and urged me to go rest in my room. I sat at my high school desk, the desk lamp illuminating the heart I had once carved into the tabletop, with Liam written inside. Truly, a love addict beyond cure. I pulled 2 exam papers over the table to cover it, out of sight, out of mind. I opened my computer and logged into QQ, which I hadn't used in ages. Besides a few classmates, my cousin Sharon was online. She had once been admitted to H University, ranking among the top 10 in the entire school. This year, she was preparing for her graduate entrance exams for B University. She had lost her parents when she was young and had lived with my family. My parents raised her like their own child. In college, she was like a true older sister to me. To study well, one needs a good teacher. And wasn't a good teacher right before my eyes, I had to make the most of it. I typed, "Sis, are you home?" Sharon replied, "What's up? Want more idol posters?" I let out a half laugh, half cry. I had almost forgotten my idol-obsessed past, always asking her to buy posters. I typed back, "No, sis, I've turned over a new leaf recently. I want to study seriously. Can you tutor me?" Sharon sent a string of shocked emojis, confirming countless times before believing I was serious about studying, let alone actively asking for tutoring. She knew that just a few years ago, she couldn't even force me to study. Once assured of my determination, she immediately sent me real exam papers from previous years and carefully wrote a detailed study plan specifically for me, turning it into a file for me to print out and stick on my desk. "You're a humanities student. Other subjects are fine, but math is the toughest one. I can't come back home, so go into my room." On the 3rd floor, the left bookshelf has the university entrance exam notes I made. Read through all of them. Especially the real exam papers from that year, study them thoroughly. I'll filter out the past 5 years' papers and send them to you later. Make sure you do all of them for me. I memorized all her instructions. After completing 2 sets of papers, I took photos and sent them to her for grading. While waiting for her to tally the scores, I suddenly remembered something. I definitely had to attend Jade's birthday party. Going empty-handed would be impolite. I found a quiet corner and retrieved the cosmetic set my aunt had sent my mother. I located the high-end cosmetic bag my mother had kept. I secretly felt lucky that my mother had a habit of saving shopping bags, neatly folded and tidily stored. Later, when I grew up, I also inherited this trait, especially enjoying collecting supermarket bags. I dusted off the bag, took out 2 newly bought Exam Prep 53 books, and put them inside. Then, I opened a large glass jar under my bed, poured all the lucky stars I had once folded for Liam into it, using them as a braided grass-like lining to cover the 2 books. The weight felt just right. Who needed fancy gifts? Knowledge was the greatest present. In the following days, I was busy preparing for the monthly exam. During the day, I paid close attention to lectures, and in my spare time, I corrected my mistakes, filling the gaps in knowledge I had missed. It had been too many years since I had studied, and high school was the most crucial period for acquiring knowledge. Fortunately, I was reborn in 11th grade, still with over a year to prepare. Fortunately, everything was still salvageable. "Tina, can you help me with this question?" I looked at my desk mate in surprise. It was the first time in days she had initiated a conversation with me. My desk mate was named Chloe, a female student who had transferred from another class. In my previous life, I hadn't interacted with her at all because my only best friend back then was Jade. Chloe awkwardly scratched her ear with her pen. "This inverse question is so hard. This morning, I saw you get all those questions right. Could you show me how?" I leaned over to look. Coincidentally, it was the type of problem my cousin had explained just the other day. I opened my scratchpad and wrote out each step, explaining it thoroughly. It was also a good review for myself. Derek, Jade's desk mate, turned around and sneered. The bottom-ranked student teaching the second-to-last-ranked student. One dares to teach, one dares to listen. Chloe, quick-tempered, slammed her pen on the table, rolling up her sleeves, ready to fight. I held her back and turned to smile brightly at Derek. Isn't being at the bottom of the class still being at the top? Perhaps accustomed to my usual self-conscious demeanor, Derek seemed slightly flustered by my resolute, unyielding gaze. His face scrunched up as if constipated, and he mumbled, yeah, that's right." Finally, he turned back to me with a complex look, then offered a slight smile and handed me a bottle of yogurt. Keep it up. But at this point, having lived for an additional decade, I was no longer fooled by such fake kindness. I placed the yogurt bottle into the deepest compartment of my desk. Several unopened yogurt bottles, identical to those from my past life, were already stacked there. Every morning, she would bring me yogurt, but now I didn't believe it was out of kindness. They were still within their expiration date, with no signs of having been opened. Perhaps she just didn't like drinking them and simply gave them to me. Considerate energy for a fake friendship. In a flash, Jade's birthday arrived. On Friday afternoon after school, she repeatedly reminded me that I absolutely had to attend her birthday party. So, on Saturday evening, I carried the gift bag I had prepared earlier. Using my memory, I found my way to her villa complex. Jade's house was a villa in a mid-range residential area, with a fence outside. I registered at the guard gate. Having lived alone for many years, I was perceptive. I distinctly felt someone following me. I didn't turn around, just glanced at the glass window in the guardhouse, seeing the reflection of a man behind me, his eyes following me without concealment. After signing in, I tightened my grip on the bag strap, not looking back, and walked quickly towards Jade's house. Behind me, faint but distinct footsteps echoed, following me closely, step by step. Despite trying to remain calm, cold sweat broke out on my palms. In my previous life, when I went to Jade's birthday, did anyone follow me like this? Or was it the butterfly effect? Had my unusual actions after rebirth changed the course of events? I quickened my pace when I saw the gate of Jade's villa, feeling as if I had just escaped danger. The door opened, and the grand hall was packed with people. In the center of the crowd, Jade, in a beautiful dress, her face beaming with joy, was surrounded by admiration. She didn't notice me as I stepped in. I hadn't even squeezed through the door yet, mentally sighing finally safe, when I looked up and felt my throat clench. At the entrance, a hazy glass partition faintly reflected the image behind it, but I recognized him instantly. It was the man who had just followed me. That man also walked in with me. I didn't dare to turn my head, immediately plunged into the crowd, found a girl who looked somewhat familiar, and approached her to strike up a conversation. Sitting next to her, I leaned sideways, glancing towards him. He was no longer looking at me. His eyes had shifted to Jade in the crowd, a profound intensity in his gaze. He took a cigarette from his pocket and crushed the filter. Seeing that action, my heart felt like it was being squeezed, that familiar gesture. I looked up, tracing his hand, and saw the face that had haunted me my entire life. Vincent Sue. It was him, the one who had plunged me into the abyss of hell in my previous life. My body trembled, and I leaned heavily against the back of the sofa, my fingers shaking uncontrollably. Noticing my unusual state, the girl beside me immediately supported me, asking worriedly, "Are you all right?" I awkwardly shook my head, a bit low on blood sugar. She quickly grabbed 2 pieces of cake from the table and offered them to me. "Eat quickly." The cream cake provided a timely excuse for me to avoid others. I took the opportunity to settle into a corner, slowly eating the cake while reminiscing about everything from my past life. I met Vincent Sue after starting junior college, but why is he appearing at this point in time? Did he, in my previous life, also enter my life so early? My mind was a tangled mess, like a ball of yarn, but I desperately wanted to unravel everything. My eyes continued to follow Vincent Sue's every move. I watched him stub out his cigarette, then take out his phone and make a call. The pink flip phone in Jade's hand rang. She glanced at the screen, her brow furrowing slightly, then looked around. When she saw Vincent Sue standing by the door, calling and waving his hand in an exaggerated manner, her face instantly darkened. Jade forced a smile and stepped out of the crowd. After Vincent Sue left, Jade also quickly glanced back and followed him out. Just then, only the last piece of cake remained on the plate. I finished it, stood up, and went to the second floor. In my past life, as Jade's loyal servant, I knew the layout of her house intimately. The second floor had a small balcony. It was cool to sit there and enjoy the breeze in summer. Below the balcony was a secluded corner, perfect for secret conversations. I leaned my hands on the railing, enjoying the cool night wind, and clearly heard Jade speaking in a hushed tone. "Vincent Sue, I told you we broke up. I won't care about you anymore." Next came the sound of clothes rustling. Jade, suppressing her anger, hissed, "Let go of me, what do you want?" Vincent Sue said, "Jade, please lend me money one last time, just 20,000, and I promise I won't bother you again." Jade slapped him. How much more do you want? Am I your ATM? From 1,000, 2,000, then 10,000, and now you want 20,000. Where am I supposed to find that kind of money? Look at yourself, do you even deserve it? Vincent Sue sneered. I don't deserve it. Then why didn't you ask if I deserved it when you were begging me in bed? Don't forget, I still have your videos. If you don't give me the money, I'll post them on the school forum and QQ group. I'll make you truly famous. Jade was so angry she couldn't control herself. You're utterly shameless. But after a few rapid breaths, she calmed down. If you want my money, go earn it with your own abilities. Vincent Sue narrowed his eyes, amused. Remember that fat pig I once mentioned? Her name is Tina. Yes, that's her. I saw her when I came to your house. She really is fat and ugly, not even fit to be your underling. Jade scoffed coldly. When she obediently acted as my underling, I found it amusing, but lately she hasn't been so compliant. Anyway, every Wednesday and Saturday evening when the public bathhouse is empty, she goes there to bathe. Find a way to take a few nude photos of her. 100 Yen per photo. Want to earn some money? Of course. Vincent Sue nodded, curious. Did that girl upset you? Why are you targeting her? Jade's expression immediately hardened. That's none of your business. Just do your job well or don't expect any money from me. Perhaps the night wind was truly cold. My body felt frozen, trembling uncontrollably. Two scum were conspiring to harm one person. So Vincent Sue and Jade had known each other all along. So everything I had experienced wasn't fate but a calculated scheme from the very beginning. My life, my family, everything I had, all were destroyed by them. Their own hands had shattered my life, but what had I done wrong? Was it just because I liked Liam? But many girls liked Liam. Why me? In my youth, due to my insecurity about my appearance, I always avoided bathing with others. In my past life, because I wasn't as indifferent to Jade as I was now, he never resorted to such despicable tricks. But in this life, he had already devised his cruel scheme early on. I couldn't understand why one girl could hate another so much. Even though, in outsiders' eyes, we were friends, even though I had never harmed her. The clear moonlight pierced through the residential fence, casting shadows on the wall like bright skin during the day, revealing a cold white skeleton at night. I closed my eyes, turned off the recording on my phone, and swallowed the bitter lump in my throat. My fists clenched so tight they ached, my nails digging deep into my palms, letting the belated hatred surge and engulf me. It's all right, Tina. In this life, I'm no longer afraid of them. When I went downstairs, I heard a few classmates huddled together, mocking my mother for selling meat at the market, yet still buying high-end cosmetics for Jade. Poor but pretentious, they sneered. My mother did indeed sell cured meats, but she primarily supplied canteens for nearby factories, making her annual income quite stable. Otherwise, how could she have saved enough money for me to study abroad after the university entrance exam and even help me pay off a portion of my loan shark debt? I replied coldly, Stop being childish. What era are we in that you still mock poverty but ignore education? It's like you've swallowed a dog's conscience. Peace, equality, friendliness, those socialist core values, are probably not in your blood. I grabbed the nearest short boy. Does your family not eat vegetables, not eat meat? If it weren't for those who sell vegetables and meat, people wouldn't even have food to eat. Jade stepped forward, trying to defuse the situation. Why are you talking about Tina like that? Her mother works hard. It's my birthday today, please give me some face. She leaned sideways as if intentionally allowing me to clearly see the elegant young man standing behind her. Liam was also there. Jade's eyes fixed on me, but she didn't find the adoring expression she expected, only an unbelievably calm look on my face. I secretly scoffed inwardly, but outwardly I just said, all right. My gaze swept past Liam, whose expression was a little stiff. I looked behind him. Behind Liam was a middle-aged man with a refined demeanor, warmly greeting Jade's mother. I vaguely recalled that Liam's father worked in the education department, and Jade's mother was the owner of a famous local beauty salon. Liam was practically pushed forward, still somewhat unwilling, but eventually extended his hand, inviting Jade to dance a waltz. Warm, golden crystal lights poured down onto the dance floor. Jade danced with Liam like a radiant princess. I stood amidst the crowd, clasping my hands together, sincerely wishing Jade a happy birthday. 18 is such a wonderful age, just old enough to be criminally responsible, yet not quite old enough for leniency. Happy 18th birthday, Jade. Next, I'll give you another unforgettable birthday gift. Because my birthday gift displeased Jade, a group of her cronies started looking for trouble with me, among them a girl named Zara. She pushed me taunting, Using a luxury cosmetic bag to wrap 2 exam prep 53 books? How shameless, Jade interrupted, feigning understanding. Don't say that, Tina. Her family isn't well off, she just wants to save face. I asked, feigning confusion. So what? Don't you also need to do exam prep 53 exercises? What we need most right now is study material. What could be more valuable than knowledge? They were speechless for a moment, unable to come up with any retort to my twisted logic. After the argument, I looked down at my test scores, just as I expected. I was indeed at the very bottom of the class. Looking at the incorrect answers on the exam, I once again clearly realized that even though I was reborn into 11th grade, I was no genius. The lucky part was that I vaguely remembered the reading comprehension and essay sections for the Literature and English University entrance exams. The unfortunate part was that I remembered absolutely nothing about the math questions. Jade turned around, pretending to comfort me. It's okay, Tina. Studying isn't the only path. Zara propped her hand on Jade's desk and sneered. Your mom's a small boss. You can just go home and sell meat with her later. I held the exam paper in my hand and quietly replied, Next term, I'll be in the top 10 of the class. Both of them burst into mocking laughter. Zara scorned, It'd be hard for you to be in the top 10 from the bottom up. Chloe slammed her pencil case onto the desk, trembling with anger. Just then, the teacher walked in, and the two girls immediately dispersed. Chloe secretly approached me, giving me a thumbs up. I believe in you. I looked into her clear eyes, and a sudden warmth bloomed in my heart. It was the first time I had seen such genuine kindness from a peer. In the days that followed, I buried myself in a sea of books and a mountain of assignments. On every weary night when I felt like collapsing, I remembered the injustice, the isolation, the humiliations from Jade. I remembered how Vincent Sue had drained my savings, forced me into millions in debt, and dragged my face through the mud. I remembered the tragic fate of my parents in my previous life. I gritted my teeth, sprang up, and chugged my coffee. I had to study until the books fell apart. In the middle of the night, my mother, wearing her bathrobe, opened my door, carrying a bowl of black sesame soup. My daughter, you don't need to study so hard. Go to bed a little earlier. You've lost so much weight lately. I looked in the mirror and saw my face dimly reflected, the corner of my mouth twitching. With my current figure, only my mother would worry about me getting too thin. Thinking of my mother's struggling form on her deathbed in my past life, I tugged at her sleeve. Mom, have you had your checkup yet? My mother stroked my head, her eyes a little red. Don't worry, my child. Seeing her like that, my heart twisted. I called my father in and asked him, as my homeroom teacher, what was really wrong with my mother. My father sighed. It's nothing serious, just a benign lump. It needs a small surgery. I sternly said, Dad, don't lie to me. He reassured me. It's really a benign breast lump. It's a good thing you pushed your mother to get it checked. It's still in the early stages. The doctor said there's nothing to worry about, just regular checkups from now on. A jumble of emotions surged within me, like someone who had lost and then found their loved ones again. Tears streamed down my face. So, after the surgery, will it be completely gone? My mother nodded. The doctor said it's just a minor procedure. It'll be fine. Only then did I feel a little relieved. I continued, This weekend, I want to sign up for extra tutoring. Hearing this, my mother immediately beamed, patting her chest. Don't worry about anything, just focus on your studies. Whatever you want to do, go ahead, your father and I will handle any problems. That confident stance, as if there was nothing in the world my parents couldn't solve. My father walked over and put his arm around my mother. Your mother's right. It's just a university entrance exam, isn't it? Whether you succeed or fail, your parents will always be your support. My nose stung and I quickly turned away. All right, I need to study now. Mom, Dad, please go out. The numbers on my test paper blurred, my tears falling in soft drops onto the page, soaking a corner. I wiped them with my sleeve, but they kept coming. I absolutely could not lose them again. 6 months of perseverance later, my academic performance finally showed significant improvement. My body was now only half the shadow of its former self. With my cousin Sharon tutoring me every night, I made rapid progress, becoming the class's dark horse, a standout phenomenon. From outside the top 1,000, I gradually climbed to the top 1,000, then 800, 500, then into the top 200, and finally the top 100. I even joked with Chloe, these achievements cost me my fat. Even the teachers couldn't help but kindly advise me, Tina, please take care of your health. Studying is important, but don't let your body suffer. The school conducted annual health checkups. The moment I stepped onto the scale, I was stunned. I had lost over 20 kg. I looked into the mirror above the sink in the infirmary. Pushing my long hair away from my face, I saw that all the acne had vanished. My small face was a little pale. Aside from slight dark circles under my eyes, my skin had recovered, returning to the fresh, youthful state of a 17 or 18-year-old girl. Reflecting, I hadn't really felt hungry lately. I only ate to sustain myself. Although I still ate a lot, it was all bland food. My only requirement for food was enough nutrients to fuel my brain and boost my learning efficiency. Perhaps that's why I lost weight so quickly. My mother, worried for me, would go to the market every morning to buy chicken, duck, and fish, making my father cook me all sorts of delicious, nourishing dishes. Every day, she would press spare change into my hand, telling me to buy whatever I wanted. But because studying was so exhausting, eating a lot also meant burning a lot of calories, and the pressure was high. During recess, I even ran laps around the schoolyard to relieve stress. So, no matter how much my parents tried to nourish me, I couldn't retain the weight. Mental labor wasn't easy. Whatever I ate was quickly used up.